But it's a good one.
It's
like,
a good one.
I like it.
It's a good one. All right, guys. Well, the tweets continue to come in. Continue to hit us up at Heroes Esports. And use the hashtag HGC. At the bottom, too, we also drop a lot of those tweets in as well. We love watching you guys talk about the games because we love talking about them. So, get ready for game number 2, Tricked Esport. The thing that I was missing from them is yesterday we had really solid early game from them. They were almost dominant against Team Liquid. Mid-late game started to falter a little bit. Their composition there was more late game oriented with the Goldan coming in, but I want to see that swagger we had from them yesterday put in against Fnatic.
But again, also, I feel we always have to put these things in perspective because we saw Nurok, for example, after they won in the interview, and Nurok talked about, yes, they were strong in the mid game, but Nurok, for example, said from the get-go, he feels more that they screwed up all the time in the early game. So there's like two aspects to it. In that series, it always felt like every single time we went into the late game, all of a sudden Team Liquid turned the game around. But the question still remains, is it just because Tricked has such an amazing early and mid game that they can use it against other teams as well? Or is it just a problem where Team Liquid's own weakness in the early and late game made it look like that? So against Fnatic, it might not work out the same way. But I absolutely agree that from Tricked, I would expect to see a little bit more fire in the early game.
Sure.
Trying to play that aggressive style, because this is really something that against Team Liquid, as you said, made them look really strong, trying to get control. And I feel this time they played very reactionary, but it was also something that was forced upon them because they fell behind very early on in the game and oftentimes played up against the talent advantage of Fnatic.
Also more difficult to do it against the Citrus composition. Let's go ahead and go into game number 2 here as the battleground has been chosen. We're picking up Infernal Shrines, a choice going to Fnatic, one of the most popular maps that we've been seeing in the HGC.
Yeah, Infernal has been played in HGC Europe 10 times so far, more than any other map, and it's also a favorite of Fnatic. They have picked the map twice, and if you look at their score, they have played 3 games on the map. They lost 1 of those maps. So overall, it's just like one of these maps that Fnatic enjoys to play. They like to bring opponents to Infernal Shrines. And for Tricked, just double checking, they're basically in the same boat. Both of these teams have played 3 games on the map and have lost 1 of them. It's actually a Tricked favorite. They pick the map every time they have an opportunity to do so. 3 times they've chosen to bring an opponent to Infernal Shrines.
Comfortable map for both of our teams, and comfortable heroes to think about. Diablo. Will Breeze pull it out? This is usually a battleground where he is able to play it. That and Tomb of the Spider Queen, so we'll see if that does come into fruition for our teams.
Gul'dan, again, as well. It's another hero that
right?
we have to watch out for here.
One that we've been seeing from Method, but not so much from other teams. Alex Straza, the idea of using Dragon Queen around the shrines. So things to consider as we go through this draft. Tricked Esport bans out Abathur. Fnatic is hovering Uther, and they'll ban him out.
So I have to highlight it again. Tricked bans Abathur every time. It's not even a joke, it's not even it's not even exaggerating anything. Tricked bans Abathur. That's true for every map except for Tomb.
Yeah.
Every single time they ban a hero, it's Abathur. And yeah, they just hate the slog. Don't know what to say.
They're not feeling it. They don't want to deal with that.
Especially with the new skin, I think it's fantastic.
Mecha Abathur.
Oh yeah.
The hot. So for first pick, will we get the tradition of Hanzo once again? Let's go in a world.
You know, the interesting part is actually, sorry to interrupt you here, but Tricked never had first pick on the map. Every time they played the map,
They were always second pick.
they had the choice. They forced the opponent to play Infernal. So this is the first time where we see them with the first pick.
We'll see what they get here. Will it be the Hanzo? Will we get Genji mixed in? We haven't seen Make and Genji in a while.
There's a lot of good Hanzo combinations on the other hand. Malfurion early on. Okay, that opens up a few options. It still leaves Hanzo and Genji open. How's Fnatic reacting to this? The thing is, Malfurion is absolutely amazing on the map to cut off retreats, to deny the opponent the entrance into the shrine phase, into the shrines, the objective area. And Smexy did such a great job in the last game with it. Also, Twilight Dream once again as a follow-up. It really denies a lot of Fnatic, and it's a strong support to take in the first place. So I actually don't mind that first pick at all.
But if you're Fnatic, you have to be thinking about Tracer now, right? And they picked Greymane because they are thinking about that Tracer. They want to have a counter in case she does get picked up.
I'm not really so sure if you necessarily have to think about Tracer here. Tracer is strong, but the problem that Tracer has is she doesn't have the best wave clear, and she is not really as helpful on the shrines as you want a hero to be.
Sure.
So when it comes to the objective, Tracer is not really a hero that we see a ton on this map.
Well, Hanzo coming in for Tricked Esport. Will they grab Blaze? Do they want the wave clear? Do we get Gul'dan early? Gul'dan might not make it through the ban phase. There's actually a huge possibility of that happening between these two.
I'm actually pretty sure that they are going for either Gul'dan or Blaze, because I feel if they don't pick Blaze, he's probably going to be banned. If they don't pick Gul'dan, there's a chance that Fnatic either bans him or picks him themselves. So, yeah. Ooh, Nubra completely going away from that.
We've been duped.
I mean, that takes the aggression or some of the aggression away from Fnatic. I was mentioning this last game, that Fnatic is extremely strong with the Nubarak. They have 6 games played with him and they won 5 of those. So at this point, taking Nubarak away from them offers more aggression for Tricked themselves, and it takes some away from Fnatic. But it's interesting because now Fnatic is doing exactly what I said. They're banning out Blaze, and they can still pick Gul'dan if they want him.
Will they lock in the Blaze? Still thinking about it? If you're Tricked Esport, what bans are you thinking about as we headed forward? Is it the Uther that's already been banned, or do we go into a Rhaegar ban? Do we keep him away from the cleanse?
I would actually consider banning out Gul'dan here.
Yeah.
You can, of course, target the healers as well, but you can also just simply say, okay, they're most likely going to play with the mage again on Mana. What mages are currently around? Which one of those are we the most afraid of? And Gul'dan offers so much wave clear. He has so many tools that they can use here. I would probably ban him out, since I don't really think that Fnatic would pass up on the opportunity. In an ideal world, I believe Tricked would grab Gul'dan for themselves, but I really think that right now Fnatic's not going to allow that.
What about Li Ming as a possible ban? Because Li Ming would be the second option to fall into for reset comps, and it's good against the Nubrek. That's a hard ban.
Personally, I would ban Gul'dan over Li Ming.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen from Fnatic so far, I believe they would make that as well. Genji banned out here.
All right.
Not a bad ban either, but I still feel that Gul'dan is an option for Fnatic now. I also want to talk quickly about Greymane and Tyrael, because now we have the level 7 talent. The level 7 has been a bit flexible on Tyrael so far, but especially with auto-attack heroes like Greymane, the changed auto-attack speed is going to be fantastic on level 7 for them. So I feel that that synergy is something that's going to pop up a lot more.
Yeah.
And Tyrael has seen a lot more plays since the rework. His level 1 shield is fantastic, especially for close quarter fights around the shrine area. So this is a great start for Fnatic into the draft, but now they have to show a bit more.
They're taking a while thinking about this here.
Yeah.
A lot of options.
There's Gul'dan, as expected. I would expect the support, yeah.
There's a Rhaegar. So we have our wave clear in, we have our shrine clear for Fnatic, and we have the dive possibilities with the Tyrael. Our 5th pick will be coming in later, expecting something a little bit more robust for that 5th pickup, but Tricked Esport will get their choice first. Gonna need a little bit more damage here, only having Hanzo.
For me, I want to see what Alex is playing. Alex has played a lot. I don't know, every single time I think about Alex and what he could play, I'm thinking about, okay, what could he... Zul, D.Va, exactly. What are heroes, on the other hand, that he could also play that are a little bit more standard? And I would say Arthas comes to play.
Yeah.
That comes to mind. I was talking about it earlier. Arthas is sitting at 14 wins and 7 losses in Europe. And when we're talking about them in particular, they haven't really played Arthas yet, and that is really weird for Tricked, because they've been homing in on Arthas all the time. Arthas was the hero that Alex was known for. Everybody said, like, they're going to go Arthas, and there it is.
Arthas and then the Tracer.
They go for the Tracer after all. Okay, so Tracer, of course, can be super annoying, combos well with Malfurion, but is lacking some of that wave clear that you usually want to have on the map. And also Tracer is going to have a bit of a rough time against Tyrael shields, against Gul'dan Horrify, Greymane with the damage. Not sure how much Tricked can do with that. It's going to be an interesting thing, because there's a lot of pressure on Mako and Tracer now.
Yeah, Tracer either has to outplay Fnatic, or Tricked Esports has to have really good teamwork in terms of a Cocoon going into a Dragon Zero, and then the Twilight Dream follow-up for Tracer to be able to get those kills that they need. But if they get 1 to 2 kills, I can see them running forward with a fight, especially if Arthas is sitting on that back line. Final pick coming in for Fnatic. Will we get the Leo? Good against Arthas. A little bit dangerous against Tracer because he can get blown up.
I'm thinking about that too. Again, I'm not really the biggest fan for Leoric in a lot of the games and a lot of the meta choices that we have, but they go for him. They played 3 games with Leoric so far, and they lost 2 of the Leoric games. Which is pretty significant if you consider that they only lost 4 maps so far in total. So on half of the maps that they lost, they played Leoric. not saying that Leoric is the reason they lose these games, but I don't think that on a lot of the maps they had the impact that he had in the previous season. So Leoric just feels a little bit less impactful right now. But overall, that setup can still work out for them. I'm still thinking if there was another hero that I would have liked in, like, over Leoric. But there's very little that really comes to mind. Blaze is taken away. We have, I don't know if I mean, maybe Sonya could have worked out here, but I would have liked something that's a little bit more tanky. Leoric still has some really cool aspects that help so much. Ominous Wraith is so strong later on, so that's definitely something where it helps you.
It would have been crazy, but you have
bit aggressive,
the dive, you have the Tyrael, you have Rhaegar to help him out. If Tracer uses recall, you have a hunt forward. You can jump on Hanzo too. Would have been a little bit more volatile of a pick, but those are other options for sure.
Even Malthael maybe.
Yeah, could have been decent. Well, let's go into it.
They don't have Uther with Divine Shield, but they have an Ancestral. There's a couple of options, but we're going to find out how Leoric is going to work in these setups right now. Game number 2, Fnatic going up against Tricked Esports with Breeze on Tyrael, Mena on Gul'dan, Smexy on Rhaegar, Bad Benny on Leoric, and Quacknix on Greymane.
On the right side in the red, Crosby playing Hanzo, Make playing the Tracer, Rimmer on a Nubrek, Alex Aproji back on his boy from 2017, Arthas, Grandpa Kid, Malfurion.
And as we have the game starting up, I once again have to talk about the new Tyrael a bit. But before we do that, let's jump in on a quick talent. We have Colossal Totem now taken on Rhaegar as the level 1, so that's another aspect later on that can really work well with Greymane, with the slows, and give also a bit more control. We have oftentimes these days now Wolfron taken. But let's talk a bit about Tyrael. So Tyrael got a rework, and I mentioned it earlier, but I want to just emphasize it again as we're now here in the game. Before the rework came into play this weekend, Tyrael globally, including North America, Korea, and Europe, was involved in 36% of the games. That includes also drafts where he was banned. After the rework came in, so just looking at yesterday's games at Friday, but again across all regions, Tyrael has seen a jump up to a 76% involvement rate. His win ratio stayed roughly the same, between 50 and 60%, depending on the region that you look at, but he's now played in more than... Great kill here also by Greymane against Tracer. But he's now has twice the involvement that he had before. That's a trend that might start to fall off a little bit as people are getting more used to the new Tyrael, but it just shows how that rework, at least for now, made him so much more popular in the pro scene.
Especially when you consider that when a rework usually comes in, it might take a week or two before someone figures out where he belongs in the meta. But this rework instantly coming in and Tyrael getting picked up a lot is a good indicator that he's a bit stronger than he was before.
A lot of it comes down to the level 1 talent.
Yeah.
Justice for all. Increasing the shield applied to allies to 100% of the shield that Tyrael gains himself. That is a massive tool, especially on maps where you have close quarter fights, where your fights on one shrine, for example, one temple. That's really where it excels, around single altar, for example. And then also we have the earlier Holy Ground at level 13 over 16, which was always a great zoning tool. So Tyrael, definitely fantastic. I would expect that this time we are also seeing him with the extra auto attack speed on level 7. That's something to talk about later. But definitely a big winner already when it comes to this weekend, thanks to the rework that he received.
At the moment, 4 for 4 for both of our teams as Fnatic and Tricked Esports continue to control. There is some pressure on the top lane for Leoric, but he is playing safe, hanging out behind walls here, which will allow for Alex Aproji and crew to push in and work on a turret, trying to grab that early experience lead that we saw them do a few times yesterday. Bad Benny holding the lane well, and with a Night Camp to help him out, he'll be able to have that pushing in the top.
Yep. Bad Benny, by the way, with the ugliest mount in the entire game.
You and these mounts,
oh,
dude,
come on. You can't tell me that you haven't noticed that. I mean, look at it.
I haven't noticed. Like, it legit does not even, like, pop into my brain what mount he's wearing. Unless I see a surfboard or a raptor, I just don't care.
There's something seriously wrong with you, Tim.
Maybe. You're just now finding this out. A year and 3 months after casting together, today, he claims that I'm weird. Oh, okay.
Until today, I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe he could be normal. He's had a few hiccups. Well, okay. Fnatic gets a big push in the top here, helping out with that smite. And they've also started the Shrine phase. 6-0. Trick has to defend the top lane, and that allows Fnatic to get a big jump in a lead.
I also want to point something else out, because we're talking a lot about support players and we talk about heroes, and I want to jump in on the build real quickly. Because right now on Malfurion, we have Strangling Vines taken as a level 4 talent. And the reason of this is simply that we have on Rhaegar now Ancestral Healing later on, of course. So if you are able to drop the roots onto a target, or if Rhaegar is forced to heal a target that is rooted, the healing is reduced by 30%. It's still interesting to see it. It makes perfect sense. But it's interesting to see it because Smexy, in the same situation that we saw last map, but also on this map in the past, still goes for the deep roots because he prefers the zoning aspects of the talent over the potential healing reduction. So it's a really interesting thing to just see different types of support players going for slightly different builds, catering towards the team style and their own play style. So Grandpa Kette against Smexy with a different talent choice here. And those are just these subtle nuances that you can really pick up when you are watching those players closely.
Make it much easier for Tracer to get those kills whenever she does zip in, having that healing reduced slightly. Well, Fnatic gets the first Punisher. They take a half a level lead. Punisher jumps in. It's all about taking the turret walls here. Pretty standard here for Fnatic. Tricked Esport shouldn't do anything too aggressive here. Just make sure to clear the Punisher as they just want to get the 10.
Yeah, they just want to get the 10. They want to get the wall, making sure that they get a bit of damage in. In an ideal world, you make a play for the fountain, but Fnatic was already zoned. Rema Baller, for example, shielding it very well. It's still an early Punisher, so you can't get too much out of it. But Benny shouldn't really fall at the top lane on Leoric as we see him attacked here. He should be able to walk away with a Wraith Walk. Tracer, on the other hand, is already setting up a bit of a trap against Leoric, but the rest of the team is busy at the bot lane, trying to get a few camps. That's true for both of them. Tricked with 3 and Fnatic currently with 4 heroes. Yeah, and Leoric is down. Tracer moved in and took Bad Benny down.
One of the risks that you have whenever you do kill a turret wall is if you push in a little bit too much trying to set that experience and get caught out.
That's one of the things, by the way, where, as we were talking about Benny a bit earlier, now, but Benny is a fantastic player, but I really feel that his transition into the solo lane is showcasing that oftentimes he's too far out.
Yeah.
There was a play around vision, of course. Tricked Esports didn't show a lot of heroes on the map since they were on the camp. But there was still a chance that one hero was up at the top. And oftentimes, Benny is a bit too far out on the lane and then gets killed, as we just saw here. This isn't really the worst case scenario right now, because it's early in the game, death timer is low on Leoric in particular, so you can play around this. But this is something that is a bit of a trend where you can just see that Benny is starting to adjust a bit more to the challenges of being on the solo lane instead of anchoring for the rest of your team in the main tank position. And I feel this is going to improve over time, but it's still something that you see occasionally happen, where you feel, okay, you should have probably been playing this a little bit safer since you had no vision, so you had to assume that something was coming your way.
Yeah, so we've seen progress, but there's definitely still more room for improvement, and one of those is just not dying, right? It's one thing to learn as a top laner. A lot of the things that you can do is kind of hide in the bushes, float around, make sure that you see all 5 on the field before you make a major play. Again, I always come back to Wubby. He's one of my favorite top laners to watch right now, just because of how well he plays with vision and understanding of the map and what he has to, and what he also just gives away if he doesn't have all the tools to be able to make a play. So lots of things to learn.
Nice damage here against Benny. Go for the throw taken for Greymane, and we have also Entomb for Leoric. Sanctification, of course, coming online. Oh, and I am actually have to correct myself here. We don't see the extra attack speed on level 7, even with Greymane, which I expected, but it's reciprocate. Now, this is the second talent that is chosen on the pro level. So we have the extra damage to nearby enemies when the shield is getting destroyed. But still pretty cool to see that here. Benny,
ooh, that was close.
Calculated.
Just barely there. Missed out on some trait value, but at least he lives. Bad Benny will head back home and heal on up.
Yeah, missed out on the trade value. Literally unplayable.
Huge mistake, Bad Benny. We're going to call you out on that one. Shrine activating to the north. And Tricked Esport is willing to have Arthas soak. Arthas actually floating on the bottom. Yes. In the bushes here, willing to soak up the experience.
It's a close one right now.
Yeah.
1 kill on each side and nearly the same experience. A bit more damage on structures from Fnatic against Tricked, so that's a bit of a plus. But now let's see how Breeze is able to impact this fight with Tyrael. There's that Sanctification coming in as Greymane engages. And especially, of course, Tracer, Marke. We need to pay attention to him. Entomb doesn't connect. It was a nice idea by Bad Benny. It was just a step too late, but he could have trapped Alex here, trying to drop the ult. And now they're still repositioning themselves. Tapping off at the fountain once more as Fnatic is attempting to move in.
Tricked does have control of the northern side of this shrine, making it hard for Fnatic to move in. Breeze will have to make a little bit of space here as well as Bad Bane to get in. There's going to be a big pulse bomb coming out. It's going to be on Leoric. Leoric getting low on health, able to get away just barely. Ancestor healing connects, but Leoric actually winds up falling instead. Greymane gets locked down by the Cocoon, blown up into a Twilight Dream. Can he escape? Howling Blast hits on Rhaegar, but Tricked Esports gets 1 kill on Leo.
Yeah, Breeze saving Quacknix here with his shield. Very well done. Quacknix barely getting out. Leo down, the Ancestral coming in too late. Horrify also missing as they were trying to go for Tracer. Not the fight that Fnatic was hoping for. All the ults so far have been missing. Once again, Sanctification comes on the ground as Alex is being attacked here. Alex is low, Alpha's in trouble, but he still survives for a bit longer. The Lich King finally falling as Tricked is down to 4 heroes in the fight, but Fnatic is low. The healing totem is obliterated as Rhaegar tries to heal up the team. Trace, on the other hand, gets jumped and dies. Smexy low in mana, but it's enough to keep the team alive and to give Fnatic another Punisher.
And they'll have an Arcane Punish here to push with. Gonna heading up in the top lane, breaking on the core. It's already been opened up earlier from that night cam we had in the early stages of the game, which means Fnatic should be able to grab this fort, and that will give them 13. And you know what that means? It's time for the holy ground if Tyrael elects to go for it.
Oh yeah, Tyrael is definitely the hero to watch now. The interesting part with Fnatic and Tyrael is that so far they have a 100% win ratio with Tyrael.
He didn't go in.
They actually have him with 2 games and 0 losses, and that is before the rework. But you were talking about this 13. We actually don't have Holy Ground. They don't go for zoning. Instead, they go for Law and Order.
Law and Order here, which means every time you land that smite, you reduce the cooldown of Righteousness, that W. So that means it now synergizes with that level 7 for exploding. Get a lot of smites in there, continuing to chunk it out, get more explosions in to allow for more dive potential. You lose out on the zone control of Holy Ground, but the idea is that Tyrael can help Greymane secure a kill.
And I also really, to be honest, I really enjoy the talent. Still, Holy Ground is fantastic. But this talent on Shrines in particular, where you have everybody clustered around you, is really cool. Cooldown reduction in general is one of the things that is extremely powerful in Heroes of the Storm. A lot of the cooldown reduction talents are highly prioritized on the pro level, and in this case, Law and Order can have a massive effect to keep the team alive in these long sustained fights that we have over a Punisher.
Yeah, you bring up the sustained fights, and that happens around Shrines just naturally, so this just works here. And also, one more point on Law and Order, your next smite also does more damage. So lots of damage coming in here for Tyrael, and Fnatic gonna be looking for those kills. Tracer will be the main target, but if they can find a Hanzo, that will be just as splendid.
Yeah, so now 15 around the corner for Fnatic. 2 forts are taken down. We have Nubarak actually very far out in enemy territory, trying to double check if the camp to the top left is currently taken by the blue team, and maybe trying to do something about it. And still a bit of dancing down here. Breeze also using his shields now for those minions. The camp in particular, keeping that alive a bit longer against Alex.
Bad Benny making some plays here on the bottom, pushing in that wave, getting in aggressive towards his opponents. But Tracer showing himself in the middle. He has a little bit more time, but he has to escape because Tracer could rotate down, so good play by him. 16 right around the corner here for Fnatic, so they're playing safe, making sure not to get caught out.
Yeah, nice move by Rema here. So they're slowing down the rotation to the top a bit, which means that Fnatic loses out on a few of the minions that Tricked is currently pushing against the top fort. So a pretty cool move by Tricked Esport. Just a small one. It's not going to net them a massive lead or anything, but it's just one of these small things you can do and that will add up over time. But the situation in the game still remains the same. Tricked is far behind. They are currently lacking the level 16 talent that Fnatic just now picked up. And we should see the next Shrine announced very soon. So Fnatic has a very good shot at taking it thanks to a talent advantage.
With the Shrine activating soon, Fnatic has hit 16. They're going to go ahead and just go take their opponent's mercenary camp. They have full control. The Eldruin dropping the bush there to make sure no one can flank in behind. Gul'dan could be vulnerable if the flank does come in. Unlikely, but still Breeze checking for it, showing that top tier tank play and awareness. And Fnatic gets both camps in the top, which pushes towards the keep. It's already bruised.
And so right now we have also Smite the Wicked taken on level 16 for Breeze. So another, the Smite cooldown recharging even faster helps you out with Law and Order, and then of course with your Righteousness. So there's a lot of synergy in the build that Breeze is currently utilizing here. Another aspect is that we have them in the spot where they can aggressively push towards the keep thanks to the camp, and they're doing that to exploit the 16 talent advantage. So they're not immediately jumping onto the Shrine, but they are getting some extra damage onto the top first. Leoric, on the other hand, is now arriving just as the Shrine activates, and they will get that slight lead. but Tricked should be able to still fight for it since they're starting to close in very quickly towards the level 16 talent themselves.
Breeze showing off something that a little interesting that you can do with that Law and Order. Dropping down this Might, getting that cooldown of Righteousness, allowed for him to shield that Merc camp 3 times in the top right lane, allowing for him to get poked down quicker enough. So little things like that, based on a different talent change, can make it easier for you to push in and get a little more value out of said camps. Bad Benny gets hit with a pulse bomb. Chunks slightly, but still living.
16 versus 16. This is an important one right now. At this point, both the teams looking for an opening.
Alex Aproji holding the front line, has a route to help him out with Quatnix working in auto attacks.
Breeze still waiting to jump in. He still has Sank ready.
He has a Sank, 34-17. Tricked wants to hold this. They may want to fight.
Leoric, of course, always with the option for a quick entomb if someone steps too far forward, but Tricked is letting it go, and Fnatic is able to claim the Punisher. Of course, also thanks to the Cocktail and Gul'dan. It's one of the biggest aspects why these two heroes are so good on this map. You don't have to fully commit to the Shrine. You can sit outside and just poke, make sure that you get the Cocktail damage in, make sure that with Gul'dan you get also your Corruption into play, and that alone is going to help you to grab those minions and grab the objective.
Yeah, a bit of a burden for Tricked Esports to deal with. If you give Gul'dan and Greymane time, that's where they excel. Big Entomb coming out. It's going to be on Alex Aproji holding down. Arrow flies in the back line. They'll go straight for Gul'dan, but Smexy does not mind. Drops down the Ancestral Healing before he gets webbed.
Yeah, Smexy in this case is actually, okay, I can't be bothered. Doesn't even wait if Gul'dan is under more pressure. The second he sees the long distance arrow coming in and he sees Inubarak, he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna play this safe.
Smexy's Neo, he's like, okay, this again.
Oh, the kill! Yeah, Tracer, perfect Horrify here by Mane. That Horrify immediately delivered the kill, and that, of course, is massive for Fnatic now. But they need to be careful because Quatnix is in trouble in a lot of that, so is Breeze.
Quatnix was dead if it wasn't for Smexy. Smexy lands a perfect cleanse, allowing Quatnix to get out of the fight. A heal comes in afterwards as well. Smexy continues to deliver as one of the best supports here in the league.
Yes, Smexy has been a boss for ages now, and coming from a support that was the liability on Fnatic in 2000, at the end of 2015, and also in 2016 at times, is actually really impressive. He was one of the players where there was thoughts about letting him go, and now he is just delivering. Like, just picture his games that we saw last weekend on Lucio, Battlefield on Eternity in particular, just juking and diving the entire time. This kid has just evolved into straight up one of the best supports that we have in the league and in Heroes of the Storm. He's fantastic.
Yes, he is. Him and the rest of the team, though, will still have to finish this game. They have a nice lead of almost 19 to 17.25 in experience. Tricked Esports did manage to hold on to their keep in the bottom, and they are taking this opportunity while they're on even talents to bring the fight to their opponents, going straight for the fort in the middle because they need experience.
I feel it's actually really impressive that Tricked was able to hold on to all their keeps. The one at the top lane, the one at the bot lane. They're doing a very good job with the defense. They're still far behind, and now they're trying to be aggressive because they know that soon 20 is in there. Oh my god, they actually saved Leoric! He was about to die. Sanctification and Ancestral come out, and Bad Benny lives for a bit longer as Breeze again supplies the shield for everyone. Ominous Raid reduces the damage. Bad Benny is low, but so is Rema. Rema is about to fall, and Breeze delivers the final blow together with Gul'dan. They get the kill. Not even Cocoon could change that. The fort falls, but Tricked is losing the Nubarak.
Look at the bottom lane. During all this, a minion wave was pushing in and a camp as well, and it's getting closer and closer to taking out a keep. Tricked Esports going to head down there and try to save it. Will they be here in time? It looks like they will. Here's the fight.
Look at Leoric. Look at Leoric. Sang comes out. Ancestral is in. They save him. That was so well done here. And then they save him for the second time. We talked a lot about Fnatic's trouble last week, the week before, where they were stacking cooldowns unnecessarily and it didn't really look clean. This is far from what we've seen back then. They are playing so much better here. They are on point, a Horrify hits, everybody is on the same target. Immediately they get kills against Tracer. They have someone in trouble, and all of a sudden Breeze is there, saving them with the shield, with the Sanctification, buying the time for Smexy to drop the Ancestral. Very clean play here today by Fnatic so far. Tricked is fighting, I mean, tooth and nail. They're really in there, really trying to claw their way back in. But Fnatic, at least up to now, has been shutting them down whenever they could.
Fnatic finally hits level 20 as well, and Tricked Esports is still a level and a half away. A couple of things for Tricked to consider. One, there's a shrine activating in the middle. Two, there is a keep on the bottom side that is low on health. They go for an arrow because they want to get a pick on Bad Benny, but he sidesteps, and Wraith walks away.
I also want to highlight, this is actually the first game that Fnatic plays in HGC Europe this year with Rhaegar. the first time that they used Vega. They have played a lot of games with Malfurion, we've seen them with Uther, we've seen them with Lucio, but Vega, they haven't even looked at up to this point. So here on Infernal Shrines, where his Lightning Shield gets even more value, they play him. And I absolutely love the way that Smix is utilizing the hero. The cleanses are on point, the Ancestrals are always there when they need to be, and he also, of course, impacts these fights a lot with the synergy that he has with the Colossal Totem and with the Earthgrass Totem on 16.
Well, Rhaegar and the rest of the crew will now finish the Punisher and move towards the middle lane. Now, there is a wall in the way, making it a bit easier for Tricked Esport to defend this, but I was surprised they don't lose a keep, especially the one on the bottom side.
Oh, yeah. Also, right now for Tricked, it's really dangerous that we have the extra silence on the Entomb. So if Benny gets a good Entomb off, that could be deadly to any hero, and that's why everybody needs to stay away from them. They go for Nubarak, they want him, and they get him. Even dropping the Horrify here. Mane with a better save than sorry play, and they, with that kill, have now everything open up to them. They take the keep in the middle, and now they can go for core, they can take all the keeps, it doesn't matter anymore. Fnatic is on their way to victory at this point.
They're pushing forward, even Maka using the pulse bomb in that fight, but the Ancestral Healing was used to negate that. Sanctification popped, and the core is called, dropping in health down to 70. A Twilight Dream comes out, which will be helpful, but not enough. Greymane taking some damage, 20% down to 10, down to 7, down to 0, and that's it here as Fnatic gets another win and goes up 2-0 over Tricked Esport.
Fnatic coming out swinging today.
Angry Fnatic?
Yeah, everybody was asking, how is Fnatic gonna fare? They just lost to Zealots, and they looked not really clean in a lot of these games. And everybody said, like, I don't know who wins today. Is it going to be Tricked? They're looking good, even though they just lost the last series. Is it going to be Fnatic, who lost against Zealots, which was unexpected? Everybody doubting them a bit. But right now, they're just shutting everyone up. They're just going in, taking no prisoners, and delivering nearly perfect plays. It's very cool.
Fnatic must have had a really good week in scrims. They are looking sharp today. Going into game number 3, Tricked Esports going to have to make sure they pull out a win, because if not, they are out in this series. We'll be right back with that game number 3 after a commercial break.